Okay, welcome to another TitanBoost tutorial. This is the author Urban Chaos 2.0, and I'm going to be teaching you guys how to get the very best performance for RDR2, which is Red Dead Redemption 2, using TitanBoost. And again, this will do it without reducing any graphic settings or any features in any way whatsoever. What this will do is optimize the game engine in real time to extract the maximum performance for your PC. So you'll get the very best frame pacing with zero latency and an FPS boost as well. Alright, so first thing we'll do is after installing TitanBoost into Red Dead Redemption 2's root folder, we must make sure we deselect the process name, because RDR2 isn't just one exe, there's a launcher and the game exe. Alright, so some folks will have play RDR2.exe as the launcher, other folks will have launcher.exe as the launcher. In my case, I have launcher.exe, so that is what we will specify here for TitanBoost. Alright, and TitanBoost will show it to you. Then we will specify the process name manually, right, which is RDR2.exe. But for most other games that just have the one exe, leave this in automatic and then just specify the game's exe here. Okay, but for this, we must do this. All right, cool. Next, we will go here to the threat level boosters and we will disable the boosters in the basic threat level boosters tab. So here it doesn't matter because nothing's enabled. Anyways, we will then go to the advanced tab to enable the threat boosters here instead, to leverage our understanding of the engine scheduler and threads. All right, so what we're going to do is first enable the general booster, which will boost all threads that are priority above normal to highest. We will then enable the rendering booster, which will boost all normal threads, all normal rendering threads that is, to above normal. Next we will go to GPU compute, which will then boost all GPU compute threads that are normal to above normal. Okay, now, and again, we are not going to enable any of the ignore flags because, as I said, we are going to take advantage of, some knowledge here. So we are going to disable the continuous boost. For RDR2, we do not use the continuous boost. All right, we must specify a boost limit. All right, so 500, and the reason is, as the game is running, runtime conditions change, and when runtime conditions change, thread conditions change, right? So for a game like Red Dead Redemption 2, when those intervals arise, you might see, let's say, a reprioritizing or a shifting of the management of the engine threads, and that shifting can pop up as like some latency here and there. We don't want that. RDR2 is not one of those games that needs a continuous boost. We want to specify a boost limit. Okay, so let's do that as well for the rendering booster, boost limit of 500, and the GPU compute booster. Okay, now the reason why we don't enable any of these flags is because what will happen when because as it is, the general booster is going to boost all above threads to highest. That will include these rendering threads that are boosted to above normal. So why don't we just boost this to highest? Because, as discussed in the previous video, is when we boost certain subsystems like rendering, right, in this case especially, from normal to above normal, the engine will boost threads that are connected to this subsystem to a higher level as well. So we will be able to boost more of the game by boosting these threads first to normal and then having the general booster boost them as well as other above normal threads to highest. All right, so that's what we're going to do here. Okay, so 500 above normal highest, 500 above normal highest, above normal, above normal. Great, fine. Next we will go here. I have plenty of RAM, so I specify 2048 for the VRAM and 4096. Oh, and by the way, again, VRAM budget does not consume VRAM. Okay, it is tied to VRAM subsystems, but it does not consume VRAM. And the reason for that is because VRAM is something that is kind of scarce these days. Not everyone has a 24 gig RTX 5090. All right, there are a lot of people out here who don't have all that much VRAM. So it was an architectural decision to rather consume RAM and gain performance that way, right? But it has been isolated as a VRAM budget and RAM budget, just so you understand what it is that you are changing, because it is connected again to VRAM subsystems, but it will consume RAM, not VRAM. As it is, this is going to consume an additional 6 gigs of RAM, but I've got 32 gigs. That doesn't matter to me. If you don't have that much RAM, you specify what you can. Okay. Now the high performance profile will configure the memory allocations for greater performance. So you will have better performance when you enable the high performance profile. If you specify something kind of low, like 128, and then again 128, right, for a total of 256, what will happen is with the high performance profile enabled, when TitanBoost sees that you can gain, it can gain a greater performance boost by consuming more memory than you specified, it will consume more memory than you specified. So instead of 256, you might end up with 300, maybe even 400 megabytes instead, if you specify something low. But with something like, 2048 and 4096, you're good. For RDR2, it's not going to consume any more RAM than this. So anyways, here we can just leave this at 512, or you can say 128, 124, doesn't mean anything. Again, do not change this to 6 gigs just because you have 16 gigs RAM and the game only consumes 12 gig. Don't do that, because as I said, I discussed this a bit more in depth in the previous video, but don't do that, right? Because the operating system does not see available RAM the same way you see available RAM. So just leave this at 512, or you can say 124, okay? What matters is this. If the game consumes 16 gigs or less, leave this at 16 gig. RDR2 is not going to consume 16 gig just because you specified this. No. That's just the upper ceiling in case the game were ever to consume that much, but the game does not consume that much, okay? So for most games, leave it at 16, but if you have a game that consumes more RAM, you should specify more RAM. So if it consumes 20 gigs, up this to 20 gigs. And again, you can just say 1,000, but don't do that, right? Let's be gentlemen and specify 124, right? Let's be byte specific, because we are dealing with the game engine directly. We are not dealing with the metadata referenced by a game config. So like RDR2's game config, you can say 120,000, you can just round it out to zeros, so it doesn't matter there. But here, it's best for performance reasons to be byte specific. So, numbers like 124, 2048, you see what I'm saying? 16384 for 16 gigs. Okay, you get me. Now let's go to the engine hooking. For online games, probably don't enable this because that could trigger anti-cheat mechanisms and stuff like that. But for single player games, enable engine hooking, and you should also enable termination assist, because optimizing memory, managing the memory heap of a game in real time can be a bit finicky, which is why for some games, well, for most games this will work. Again, this will work for most games. For some games this might not work, you see. So for some games you might have 1 or 2 of these options causing crashes. I think I recall in my case what caused the crash for Red Dead Redemption 2 was this one. If one of these memory options, hooking options, will trigger a crash, it will only crash in the main menu or while loading. It's not going to crash while you're playing the game. But anyways, this one I think did cause an issue. But otherwise, this works very well for me for Red Dead Redemption 2, and I don't have any issue with termination, so I don't enable termination assist. But for some games, the memory hooking might cause the game not to close properly once you've quit the game. It might still be in the background consuming space because TitanBoost has a hold of the memory. If that's the case, enabling termination assist will ensure that when TitanBoost detects you've actually closed the game, it will release the memory. So if you quit the game and you see that the game appears to hang, like it's not closing, don't worry, wait like 10 seconds or so, TitanBoost will close it. That's not going to be an issue for Red Dead Redemption 2, by the way, but some games like Ratchet & Clank, also Spider-Man, so pretty much a lot of these Sony games, termination assist helps a lot there. Great. Now, streaming optimization. I like to say aggressive. What this will do is optimize data into RAM, right? So it'll consume more RAM, but you get better performance, right? This again, you should enable SE lock memory privilege for memory optimization. All right, cool. So this we leave it here the way it is. Now performance, let's set ultra and ultimate performance. Okay. Now if you have a very weak CPU, just leave this at high. But if you have a capable CPU, your CPU is okay, set this to ultra. Okay, so that's it. We will then save all settings and generate the launcher. And then we will launch the game using the launcher that TitanBoost creates, called Launch with TitanBoost. It will create that launcher in the game folder, and that is how we will optimize. We will launch the game with all these optimizations specified, and you will get the very best frame pacing and FPS boost and all of that without reducing any settings whatsoever. The game will, in fact, the game will look better, because what will happen is, well, I know this is kind of technical, maybe I shouldn't say all that, but I mean, as the game runs better, what you have is, because the computation is more efficient, things like lighting will end up looking better as well. So anyways, or if you can, donate to me, guys, help an African child. Yeah, I'm African, so I can make that joke. But yeah, anything you guys send to me, I really do appreciate it, and kind of need it. But anyways, yeah, so that's it. Cheers.